Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third edition of the Big Debate. We sincerely apologize for starting late. We had some technical hitches, but we said that we were going to give you what you've been waiting for, so we are going to do that right now. I'm here with my co-moderator, Delphine Mbole in Munich, and I will let her introduce herself as well as our two contestants.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Big Debate. I'm Bola, your co-host for the night. Today we will be talking about the Cameroon military and the Amazonian fighters in their handling of the war in English-speaking Cameroon so far. And what better persons to talk about this than two dynamic professional soldiers in their own rights. On the one hand, we have Omer Bayen, who has worked in the UK military in the year 2007 to 2012. He served in combat missions in Basra, in Iraq, and Hemland province in Afghanistan. Welcome, Omer, and thank you for accepting the challenge to debate today. On the other hand, we have Victor Ntembo. Victor served in the US military between 2003 and 2016. He completed 3 long combat missions in Afghanistan and Iraq. Recently, he served as company commander in Liberia in 2015 in support of Operation United Assistance to fight Ebola. He has received many accolades, several awards, and a bronze medal. Thank you, Victor, for accepting the challenge to debate tonight. So, gentlemen, we are expecting a heated debate, fairness, and respect. Thank you, and I hand over to my co-moderator, Terence.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, again. So we are going to start the debate. I'll ask the question, and both of our two contestants will have 5 minutes to answer the questions. And after that, they will be asked to respond to each other's comments, and that will take another 2 minutes. And as you've heard from the introduction, both guys have served distinctly in the military, and in the military, one of the most important facet is respect. So I demand respect from our audience as well as from both contestants. So I'm going to start with the first question. So that will be to Victor. So the question is the Cameroon military stretched or overstretched against the disorganized amateur Amazonian fighters? I know Victor said no, so he's going to say no now again, but he's going to explain to us why he thinks the military is not overstretched. So, Victor, over to you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Ntembo. I want to thank the debate team for putting this together. I want to thank all of our friends across Facebook for joining us out here today. I'm here to tell you no, the Cameroon military is not overstretched, and that's a very easy one for me because English Cameroon is only 20% of the population of Cameroon. It's only 20% geographically. So 20% of the police force is in English Cameroon, 20% of the gendarmerie, 20% of the army. The remaining 80% is over on the French side. So during peacetime, the number of forces that we have is okay. If there's civil unrest, okay, you can always bring troops over. Now, to measure if forces are stretched, I mean, you do something called mission analysis. Okay, you look at capabilities, requirements, and shortfalls. Okay, and then you look at mitigations. Mm-hmm. So now capabilities, I'm gonna give you a real quick example. If I'm an infantry commander and I have a company of 150 soldiers, okay, and I have a mission that requires 200 soldiers. That means my capability is 150. My requirement is 200, and I'm short 50. My mitigation is where I'm gonna get the 50. We are absolutely, we do not have a shortage. Oh, by the way, peacekeeping is a police mission. So police and gendarmerie, the police and the gendarmerie take care of that. The governor has the ability to bring in the rapid intervention brigade. That's the army. That's the elite forces. That's the special forces of the Cameroon military. That's the best of the best, the cream of the crop. The governor can bring them in, you know, at the snap of his finger. They have 3 battalions. There's one of them in Tico. There's one of them in Douala. There's another battalion in Konde, in Kutaba. Okay, he can draw from those any day, depending on the gravity of the threat. There are 5 infantry brigades in the Cameroonian military that they can draw on. So I tell you right now, if you think that this struggle has stretched the military, you're dreaming. They haven't even started, because French Cameroon is at peace. We can take their police officers, we can take their gendarmerie. Okay. Oh, by the way, they are winning the war. And the war is almost over. I mean, like, come on now. They decapitated the struggle within a few months. Okay, and this is something that I'm going to talk about when I talk about professionalism. Okay, the leadership of the struggle is dead. Most of the Ambazonia fighters are dead. I remember when I was in Cameroon, and Nigel Frundi lost the election in '92. 6 people died. Nobody went out. We all stayed home. Everybody stayed off the streets. So the military is not stretched. The other thing that I'm going to bring out is that I'm going to talk about is the curfew. The governor has the ability to put a curfew, and there was a curfew. I don't know if it's still there, but a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. If you have that curfew, it means you don't have civilians in the battlefield. It's not unconventional warfare no more. It's conventional warfare, and the Cameroonian military will.
You have 1 more minute.
Okay, the Cameroonian military will beat Ambazonia troops any day when civilians are not in the battlefield. You know why? Because they don't have to worry about separating civilians from the fighters. Civilians are at home. Nighttime provides cover and a concealment. Okay, it means that you have the element of surprise in your favor. At night, when civilians are at home, you know where the Ambazonia fighters are. You strike right away at night. Using the element of surprise, you know where they are. They don't know you are coming. Okay, so they have that in their favor. The Amazonian people do something called they have this ghost town. Ghost town works in the military's favor. Put the civilians out of the battlefield, and they love it. So I tell you, they've only lost 200 people. They've only lost 200 troops. There's 35,000 more they can bring in. So do not think that they are stretched. They're still going strong. If I was the Ambazonia people, I would put my weapons down and I would not fight anymore, because they are too strong. They are ready to go. And oh, by the way, their president just won re-election.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Victor, for your insight and for your extensive thought. So I'll ask the same question to Omer. Omer, is the Cameroon military, the professional military of Cameroon, overstretched in its fight against the disorganized and amateurish Ambazonian fighters?
Thank you very much, Dr. Terence Agbo. Bear with me, please. It's very cold in the UK today. That's why I'm dressed like this. It's extremely cold. So bear with me. It's like I'm coming under the weather for a bit. Yes, anyway, the answer to your question is 100% a massive yes. The Cameroonian military is overstretched. I'll give you just the facts. I don't know what my brother Victor was talking about, but I'll give you just facts. First of all, you need to understand that the Cameroonian military has 4,200 personnel, not 35,000 like he was claiming a few seconds ago. 4,200, that is it in a country of 25 million people, right? 12,500 are in the army. 1,300 are in the Navy. 400 are in the Air Force. Okay. First of all, you need to understand that the Cameroonian army has no operational experience. What do I mean by operational experience? They've never been to war. They cannot face any opposing force. They have no tactics. The last time the Cameroonian army had any face-off was in Nigeria, during the Bakassi Peninsula. That was the last time they did any training as far as any wars are concerned. That is why you will never, ever hear that the Cameroonian army has undertaken any peacekeeping missions like you see with Nigeria or Senegal, who are involved with the ECOWAS. They are overstretched. They are fighting untrained Ambazonian soldiers. And right up to June 2018, the Cameroonian army has lost 120 soldiers. As we speak now, that number is 175 soldiers have died facing untrained people, facing boys for Cartier who've never fought wars before. That is catastrophic. That is one of the reasons why Betty Asomo stopped carrying out these funeral processions for all those fallen soldiers, because the figures were embarrassing for the Cameroonian government to be losing that number against untrained people. Let me give you a picture. I went to Iraq, I went to Afghanistan. In 13 years of fighting trained terrorists like the Taliban, who have been fighting wars with the Soviet Union for years, the UK lost 450 soldiers. Cameroon, in less than 2 years, has lost 175. Now do the maths. If the Ambazonians can sustain war for another 7 years, they are losing 175 every year. What's the number in the next 7 years? If they fight the war for 13 years as well, what's the number? It will be catastrophic. Let me give you another example of what General Melingi Numa Donasieng said. If you don't know who General Melingi is, he's the commander of the 53rd Motorized Brigade in Boya, who confessed that the army was stretched. They do not have the experience. They do not know anything about the terrain, like the Ambazonian fighters. When he said that, and he even said a lot of soldiers were deserting and training the Ambazonian fighters. When he said that, what happened? Do you remember General Melingi Terence Akbo?
I do. Called back. I saw him flying over Manfi.
Yes, when he said that, what happened? He was sacked and called back to Yaoundé, right? Because he told them that they were stretched. They had no experience. Why do you think Cameroon called on Chad? Chad has a minimum of 40,000 combat soldiers, ready combat soldiers. That's why they called on Chad, because they do not have the capacity to fight Ambazonians. We are not talking about whether they are winning, the Ambazonians are winning. We are talking about the Cameroonian army being stretched. They are stretched big time. Just recently, that was 2 weeks ago, they were recruiting 2,600 extra soldiers. Why do you have to recruit extra soldiers if you are not stretched? Just last week, they pulled out 2,500 from the northwest and southwest regions and sent them to Yaoundé and Douala in anticipation of the protest that the Francophone is going to lead. At the moment, they cannot face Ambazonian soldiers. They do not have the numbers. They do not have the numbers.
Okay, Omer, thank you.
9,000, in fact, Cameroon has 9,000 paramilitary personnel, which are gendarmes and the police. Remember, the gendarmes and the police are not engaged in the fight with Ambazonians. Those who are engaged with Ambazonians are the B. And the B do not have the capacity to deal with it.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's why they called on Chad.
Omer, yeah. So your 5 minutes have elapsed. If you have something to say, there will be a response later. So Victor, you heard everything that Omer said. He thinks otherwise. Do you have any response to his comments?
Yes, absolutely.
Excuse me. Before Victor can reply to that, I think before they reply to that, there's one pertinent question that everybody is asking on the comment session, and I think it would be nice if they can just give a quick reply to that. The audience wants to know the source of your statistics, because you have been giving a number here, and they want to know where you got those figures from.
Yeah, the numbers, yeah.
So Omar,
all right, well,
your statistics, and Victor, where did you get your statistics from?
all right, well, trust me, I went to the Sûreté Nationale, like the National Security, the police website. Okay, the police, they have the website. There is a National Defense, the Army website. Omar's numbers came from the numbers that Omer gave on Wikipedia. Okay, and it talked about 12,500. I tell you what, I'm gonna send you all the links to those numbers. Okay. I hope this is not going towards my 2 minutes, is it?
No.
Yeah, it's not going towards our 2 minutes.
Omar, what
it is going towards my 2 minutes?
No.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. So those numbers, 12,500 in the Army, 1,300 in the Navy, and 400 in the Air Force. That's what Wikipedia says. Okay. And then so they don't tell you about the gendarmerie. I had to go to another website to find the gendarmerie strength. The gendarmerie on that website said that and I will send the link when I'm done. On that website said the gendarmerie had 9,000 troops. Okay, so if you add 9,000 troops to that, that's already over 20,000 right there. You know, if you add 9,000 for the gendarmerie, and then 1,250 for the 12,500 for the Army, 1,300 for the Navy, 400 for the Air Force. Okay, and then the number for the police for Cameroon's police, I look for that number everywhere. I mean, I checked the police website. I turned it upside down. I couldn't find the police number, but I found another website that gave an estimate of the total Cameroon force. It said something of between 30 to 35,000 of the total Cameroon force. So I said, okay. If I add the gendarmerie and then the Army, that already is about 25,000, isn't it? 12,000 plus that's already about 25,000 just for the Army and the gendarmerie.
You got some information from Wikipedia and some from the websites of the national security, the gendarmerie, and the military. Omer, can you tell us where you got your sources? Because people are very interested in the numbers you gave.
Okay, let me just correct Victor. I did not get my sources from Wikipedia.
Well, those are the exact numbers that are on Wiki right now.
That's okay, Victor. I mean, we demand respect.
I've got.
Talking.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
I've got a folder here. Unfortunately, I cannot. You'll not be able to see exactly what it says here. Right now, I'm doing this debate from what we call the war room. I've got the figures from the UK government of the number of soldiers Cameroon has. I've got the figures from the UK government of the number of soldiers Libya has, Tunisia, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Nigeria. Wikipedia is not my source. Are you going to ask me where I got my source to as far as the 175 soldiers are concerned, those who have been killed? That is not on Wikipedia.
Omer,
Cameroon does not have up to 20,000 soldiers.
Everyone saw the release that was sent out. If you when the Ministry of Territorial Administration put a release out during when they were launching the Operation Financial Aid, I think there were some numbers there which highlighted the numbers of military who have been killed, as well as some civilians so far. So I think I saw that document as well.
And what did the number say?
I don't recall, but I know they said approximately between 145 and 170.
It's 175. It's okay, 175 as we speak.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Terence, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So
can I just say one last thing real fast? 30 seconds.
Yes, you do. You can.
All right. Just the numbers that Omer gave us. Just the numbers that he read to us. is 23,200 between the army and the gendarmerie, and that excludes the police numbers.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay,
no,
so
that's why actually I was specific when I said paramilitary.
yeah,
That's
okay.
the gendarmes. They're about 9,000.
Yes.
But the gendarmerie is not involved, it's not engaged in any confrontation with Ambazonians because all they don't run.
Gentlemen,
Those who are engaged in fighting Ambazonians are the B. So I was very specific when I gave you those numbers.
Yeah, gentlemen, we have to move forward. So, Omer, Victor, you can now respond to what Omer said in terms of the stretched military. He said, and clearly that the military is overstretched based on the numbers, but also secondly, because recently there is a recruitment, at least 2 recruitments have gone, one in December and one which was just launched 2 weeks ago. So to him, he assumes that the military cannot be recruiting if they are not needy. So
anyway, I do not agree. That wouldn't be why you are a recruit. Recruitment in the military that I work for is all year round. It's a full-time job. Being a recruiter is a full-time job. People get out, people retire, people get old. You can't just assume that because they are recruiting, it means that they are short. The recruitment numbers that I saw was for the Presidential Guard, you know. And oh, by the way, if I was Mr. Bia and I want to kill the Amazon, or I want to make the Amazonian forces weaker, I would launch a police concours and I would recruit just Anglophones.
Yeah, let me intercept you for.
Let me answer that. Let me answer that.
800,
I have a lot to say.
people who were supposed to be recruited for Presidential Guard, and those were musicians. The government was recruiting 2,600 beer. 600.
Let me answer that, Terence Agbo.
No, but Victor is
I was supposed to have 2 minutes to respond to what Omer said, right? Now, listen to me. This was peacekeeping to begin with. This was not war. This is an internal thing, okay? The military generally fight external wars. They fight foreigners. The police corps is a police mission. Public security is a police mission, okay? And the gendarmerie, okay? So the rapid intervention brigade is backup. It is backup. So they have thousands of police officers to fight. And oh, by the way, like I said, they have 5 infantry brigades. And don't tell me that the other missions around there are hurting Cameroon's capability. My friends are in Garoua right now, the United States military. My colleagues, my tenant just came back from Cameroon, okay? They are doing drone missions with the Cameroonian military. If Cameroon wasn't professional, they won't be working with them, okay? And so Nigeria, Central African Republic, Chad, okay, they have forces fighting Boko Haram as well on their side of the country. So we're not stretched at all. You said something about 175 dead, 35,000. The last time that I checked, the United States military had lost over 3,500. Don't quote me on that number. We had the count is crazy how much we had lost to the Taliban. They're not fighters. They use improvised explosive devices. They use unconventional. That is normal. Most of military deaths during combat is not even from the enemy. It's from accidents. Okay, most of our deaths are from accidents, vehicle rollovers and stuff. And then you talked about desertion. Heck, I know a lot of people that I was with at war that just get into the partisan and kill themselves. War is stressful. Nobody wants war. Okay, nobody wants war. People are separated from their families. War was stressful to me. People come back with PTSD. It affects everybody. It affects the best of them. Okay, but I'm telling you right now that Cameroon's military, the good ones, are still gonna stand. Okay, and they're gonna win this war. They have the capability. They have the money. They have the equipment. They have the personnel. They have everything they need to win the war.
Okay, thank you very much, Victor. So yeah, 2 minutes. over. So, Omer, can you respond? You have 2 minutes to respond to Victor.
Victor, I don't think you understand the role of the gendarmerie. I don't think you do. The gendarmerie does not fight wars. The gendarmerie is more of a reconnaissance, like a reconnaissance brigade. They don't fight wars. They reinforce the police. You never see police fight war. They don't fight wars. The people who are fighting are the B. The B is fighting the war, not the gendarmerie. Stop talking about the gendarmerie. Talk about the people who are actually engaged in fighting the war. And that is the B. For some reason, I think you've got everything mixed up. We are not talking about the US Army or the UK Army. We are talking about the Cameroonian Army. These are people who are fighting against other people with Dane guns. If you have Ambazonians with Dane guns killing 175 people, it is catastrophic. 175 professionals, it is catastrophic. Ambazonians do not use IEDs, improvised explosive devices. So yeah, completely off topic right there. They are facing, how many gendarmes do you have in Batibo? On the 1st of October, Ambazonians took over the Batibo Council. Where were the gendarmes? Do you have any pictures of gendarmes fighting in Ambazonia? Because they are not groomed to fight. They are not trained to fight. The only people you see fighting are the bees. And seriously, they are getting their asses handed over to them. In less than 2 years, I'm giving you the facts. In less than 2 years, they lost 175 against people with Dane guns. So how is that not stretched? They are stretched big time. And you talked about recruitment for the presidential guard. Not 2,600 people were recruited for the presidential guard, just 600. B are actually recruiting 2,000 to send them to Ambazonia. During peace times, Cameroon uses about 1.6% of its GDP on defense. That's about $350 million. In 2 years, fighting in Ambazonia, the figures have gone up considerably. You are my source as well. You are my source as well.
I think I know your source. Maybe the audience would be interested in knowing your source.
Tell him my source, Dr. Teresa Bo. Tell the audience my source.
The budget of the presidency have risen significantly because of the war, and the Ministry of Defense's budget is not put out. It's under because the Ministry of Defense is under the presidency. So the rapid and significant increase in the budget of the presidency is as a result of the war. And the World Bank recently.
So why does your budget increase if you are not stretched? It's common sense, bro. It's common sense.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, gentlemen. I think we'll move to the next question, which will be asked by my co-moderator.
So thank you. The next question is, do you think the Cameroon military is acting professionally? So since Victor handled the first question first, Omer, you go first on this one. You have 5 minutes.
I have 5 minutes?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Delphine. The answer to that question is another no. The Cameroonian army is very unprofessional. Even newborn baby them for yesterday, another one. But I'll limit myself to the debate, to the last 2 years. First of all, you have to understand that even though we are talking about the Cameroonian military, there are guidelines they have to follow. And the guidelines are set by the Geneva Convention of 1949 and international humanitarian law. That is why when you go contrary to the Geneva Convention, you see people getting dragged into The Hague. People are prosecuted for war crimes. So what's actually going on in Cameroon? A lot of people will be prosecuted for war crimes. What exactly does the Geneva Convention say as far as civilians who are caught in armed conflict are concerned? As far as enemies, how do you treat these people? As far as civilians are concerned, first of all, You have to respect them. You have to protect their properties. What are the facts? Going way back to when the protest started, soldiers were raping students at the University of Boya. Look at what happened in Kwakwa. Look at what happened in Babesi in Dub recently. They're killing and burning people. That targeted killings. Even the US State Department said that targeted killings of civilians in Ambazonia. The Cameroonian army is fighting what we call an asymmetric warfare. You don't know who you are fighting with. You don't know who the enemy is. That is why when Victor says they can win the war, you cannot win the war because most of the people who are dying are civilians. They have been burning people. They have massive graves where they bury people every single day. That cannot be professional. You have to protect people's properties. There is this guy, I'll get you his name right now. Colonel Onambele. How is it professional when Colonel Onambele claims that his father, Senator Obama, has personally asked him to kill at least 30 Anglophones? During wartime, schools, hospitals, the press are all no-go areas. What happened in Babong Imanyu? You know Babong Imanyu?
I know Babong, yeah.
Colonel Ngongang burns down the Catholic mission in Babong. How is that professional? You have Colonel Mengele, who is called the butcher of Kembong, who burnt houses in Kembong, killed people in Kembong, then placed an armored vehicle on the Cock Bridge and fired rounds into Nigeria. It was a big scandal. How is that professional? How do you treat enemies according to the Geneva Convention? You disarm them. You arrest them. You give them access to their families. But what are the facts? What have we been saying? We've been seeing summary executions every single day of enemy combatants. Once you arrest somebody, even if they are armed, as long as they do not fire, you cannot kill them. Victor should know that as a soldier. As a combat soldier, you should know that. But what are the facts on the ground? Even look at what happened in the north. How is it professional to kill women with babies strapped on their backs? No sane Cameroonian can come on here and tell us that the Cameroonian army is professional. They are the most unprofessional bunch you ever have the misfortune of dealing with.
Okay, thank you very much, Omer. So
I will ask the same question to Victor. I see some comments on the commentary, and someone even mentioned, Delphine, how can you ask such a question? The reason we're asking this question, don't forget, we have two people fighting. There's a Cameroon government, the military of the government, and there is the Ambazonian soldiers. Listen carefully. We didn't ask if the Ambazonian fighters are professional. We're asking if the government military is professional because the government is the one who's supposed to protect its citizens.
that's correct.
So the government is not supposed to fight against its citizens. It's supposed to protect its citizens. And when we ask if the government is acting professional, another way of asking is if the government is actually protecting its citizens in this crisis. So, Victor, please, can you answer the question? Is the Cameroon government acting professional?
Absolutely. Basically, what is happening in Cameroon is that we have a problem of social. We have a social injustice. Okay, people believe that they're not being treated fairly. They should look for political solutions to that. Okay, and they decided to cross the line when they declared war on the state. When you declare independence, okay, it's a declaration of war, and the military has to stand up. When you look at the definition of, when you look at the job description of the police or of the army, it's their job to protect the state, and that's exactly what they are doing. I looked at Webster's dictionary for a definition of the word professional. I know what a professional is, but they had a lot of similar definitions. And one that I picked out the most was the term professional as characterized by or conforming to a technical or ethical standard of profession. Okay. So when I look at that, we skipped something very important. We skipped training and then just went into professional. I'm going to tell you about their training. Okay. Cameroon's military, their training is probably the best. It's one of the best in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay. They have one of the best military trainings in sub-Saharan Africa. And I'm going to read you a very short article. Unfortunately, I skipped out of that page. I hope I can get to it. Bottom line, what it was saying is that Cameroon's War College this year graduated about 62 graduates. Okay. 62 graduates from 20 different African countries. I mean, from 20 different countries around the world. If they didn't trust our professionalism, they won't send them to our war college. I mean, Morocco, Nigeria, United States of America, France, all of them, okay? They send them out there because they know that the training standards are high. Don't judge. A lot of people just go out there and talk about, oh, this is a professional, or this is not professional. What I don't want to do is take the bad actions of a few and use that as a broad brush to paint it across the military. There is tens of thousands of troops doing the right things every day, okay? Those are the silent professionals. I'm gonna give you a good example of how the Cameroonian military demonstrated the utmost, like, world-class professionalism. The mission to go capture Mr. Sissoko. I don't know who planned that mission, but that is a military mastermind. And they use the best military intelligence they had to collect all the data. They didn't post one thing on Facebook. That's Operation Security right there. Okay, it's something the Amazonian forces don't know, by the way. Okay, because all of their stuff, if you want to kill them all you gotta do is check on their Facebook pages. But they collected that information. They didn't say anything. They organized it. They decapitated the struggle in a few months. We haven't heard from the military ever since, except for when the minister came on one time and said, okay, we have them in our custody. Those are silent professionals. The profession of arms is a noble profession, okay, for silent professionals. They do the right thing every day when nobody is watching, okay? They wake up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and they go in the gym and they put in their hours, lift whatever they got to do to be physically fit for the mission. They treat each other with respect, okay? According to rank, all of that.
Yeah, Victor, so you mean going into village, burning down villages is professionalism? Because
burning down villages, hold on, yes, absolutely. Because I tell you what, the U.S. military or other militaries, world-class military, they use bombs, okay? They don't use fire. They use bombs. When they drop a bomb, it don't blast just that one house. It destroys the blast radius. So using fire actually narrows down you can actually target one house and go put fire on that house. So people can say, oh, this is not professional, this is not professional. They have, like, I thought that was something that they're doing in lieu of using a bomb. Okay? It's a TTP. They do it all the time. I haven't heard one professional complain about it. The Amazonian people complain about it because it's killing them. Okay? It's killing them. That's war, man. Hey, there's some other thing. When people wake up and they see a dead body outside, I was leaving all this stuff for the Omer's rebuttal, but I'm just going to say, when people wake up and they see a dead body outside, okay, that has been decaying for 3 days, they say, oh, the military is unprofessional for doing that. What? My warrior ethos tell me that thou shalt not leave a fallen comrade in combat. That means that if you are my friend and I get shot, you have the responsibility of bringing me back home. If you shoot the enemy, it's not your job to bring him back home. Their body's got to come take them back home. If they stay there for 10 days, that's their fault. They got to be more organized. And the other people are not organized. They have themselves to blame. Oh, the last thing that I'm going to say is...
Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Omer.
Yeah.
Yes, Terence.
Yeah. So we have we are so happy with our audience today and their interactions. So shout out to all our audience: Kela, Mfona, Omer, Achukisop, Nidan. Mabel, I have seen your question. That is actually going to be the third question we are going to ask. But before we get there, we very much appreciate and thank our audience for all their patience and the time to spend here with us. I would have a few some questions from you guys, from the audience for you guys before we go to the last question. So, Victor, this one goes to you. So, someone asked, when you say the government will win the war, what do you mean? And then the second part of the question is, this one came from Gilbert, so shout out to Gilbert Tambe as well. That you said Cameroon graduated supposed best military academy in part of Africa, graduated 62 military, had 62 graduates this year. So how many of them are from Cameroon? Because it seems as if they came from all over Africa. So the first question is winning the war. What do you mean by winning the war? And then the second part is how many of these graduates are from Cameroon?
Okay. The definition of winning the war is not killing the ideology. You're not gonna kill the ideology. But I tell you what, given the number of dead ambassadors, when I was in Cameroon, when I was in Cameroon in '92, 6 dead people was enough to make us all go home and stop that nonsense. Okay, right now people are still going. They're going to realize. Okay, at the end of the day, when you do stock taking, and you say we have gone 3 years, we were trying to change education, nothing has changed. We were trying to change the legal system, nothing has changed. Our kids have gone 3 years, no education. We're about to have the worst literacy rate for English Cameroonians in our lifetimes. The people that are losing is English Cameroonian. Mr. Bayen just won his re-election. He's safe in French Cameroon. The people that are losing is us. Okay, the people that are losing is us. Mr. Bayen really doesn't have much to lose. 5% of you turned out to vote. Guess what? He still won the election by 72%, 72+%. By winning the war, I mean that the Amazonian forces are going to be crushed. They are already getting crushed. They are a disgrace. The other day, I actually listened to somebody called Foncha, I think Soul Foncha and Tapan talking. That was the first time that I ever listened to them. Soul Foncha actually admitted that he doesn't have any troops in Cameroon right now. He had recruited something from the Bayen division, and they went over to Ndonga Mandong and got killed. He didn't have any troops, and he was trying to reorganize. Tapan was claiming that, oh, I am in charge of the Red Dragons. We all saw the video of the Red Dragons. Said we don't even work for you. There's no command there's no command and control. You know, I mean, there should be unity of command. They don't have that. They're immense. They don't stand a chance. Hold on.
Question. Yeah. So the second question was how many of these 62 graduates and from year to year are from Cameroon? Because it seems as if you think Cameroon has one of the best war academy. As such, they are training professionals. Most of them don't come from are not from Cameroon, so actually don't fight with the Cameroonians. So do you have the numbers? Do you have the estimate of those who are from Cameroon? So that question was asked by Gilbert Tambe.
Okay, what you don't understand is as you go higher in rank, the number of people that can go to those schools are much smaller. Cameroon only has 45 generals. I think about 45. The first number that I had seen was 35, and then they have recruited 11 more. Like maybe a year or two ago, they added 11 more generals. And oh, by the way, 4 are in retirement. The War College is for people like colonels and above, 06. The numbers to go to those schools are much smaller. So when you graduate a class of 62 from a war college, they probably don't been there a whole year, you know, just to attend the war college. Okay, so if you have 10 people graduate, if you have 10 general grade officers or 10 colonels and generals graduate from the war college in 1 year, that's a big deal. Okay, those are they are not fighting at the tactical level, which is the Sangalong or the junior soldier level. They're not even fighting at the operational level. They're fighting at the strategic level. When you graduate from the war college, you're at the strategic level. You're a war planner. You are that guy that sits down and puts the map on the table and say, I want 20 troops here, I want 500 here, I want 1,000 here. Okay, that's who I'm talking about. And it's only when you are the best or when you are that good that people, gosh, yeah, the United States has a war college and officers volunteer to go to Cameroon's war college in Africa. Come on now.
Okay,
France got people coming there to come study.
Yeah, Victor, for your insight, at least you gave us some numbers, and we do understand that the higher you go, the number of people who are good or ideally the best decreases. So that is understood. So we have another question from the audience. So that will be to Omer, and Delphine has the question. Okay, so I have the question. So this question is coming from Terence Limona. So he's asking, and I'll ask the question, even though I don't believe what he's saying, that the Ambazonians are coming up with women and children as shields, as well as women and children holding guns. What do you expect the soldiers to do? Should they act professionally?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Victor, as a soldier, and let me respond to Terence Limona. You cannot hold the Cameroonian military and Ambazonian fighters to the same standards.
I wasn't.
That's the first thing you need to consider. What's the meaning of guerrilla warfare? It means you make do with what you have. And when he says Ambazonians are using women and children as shields, where did he get that from? How are they using them as shields? Are they using them as suicide bombers? How exactly are they using them? So maybe you should throw more light on that question. Then I'll be able to answer him properly. How are they using them?
Okay. So I think Delphine has another question for you.
Are they sending those women and children to go and do hit and run attacks, or what exactly are they doing?
Omer, I think we got the point. I'm sure Terence will elaborate on the comment section on what he meant. But there's another question from Mo Mayang to Omer. And he asks, Omer, how many times has Southern Cameroon declared their independence? Mr. Omer, going to another sovereign nation and abduct people, is that professionalism?
Once again, the answer is simple. Ambazonians are not held to the same standards of professionalism as trained soldiers, as professional soldiers. For example, let me answer that question. Let me give you another analogy. You expect a nurse, a registered nurse in America, for example, to perform the job of a brain surgeon. So let me give you another analogy. They do not have the same standards. And when exactly did Ambazonians move to another territory to kidnap people? Ambazonians are guerrilla fighters. Those are guerrilla tactics, and Victor can confirm that as far as guerrilla tactics are concerned, in French they say tous les coups sont bons. You do what you have to do to protect your territory. But those soldiers do not have the luxury to do the same thing. They cannot, because they are professionals as defined by Victor's Webster Dictionary. Ambazonians do not have that same standard. They are fighters, they are not soldiers. They are civilians. No matter how you look at it, they are civilians. The Geneva Convention does not apply to Amazonian fighters. It applies only to trained and professional soldiers all over the world.
No.
Not to citizens
meaning
engaged in guerrilla fighting.
If the soldiers do not respect the Geneva Convention, they are being unprofessional.
Yes, they are.
Doesn't matter whether it is war. Anyway, the Geneva Convention relates
during
to war.
armed conflict. During armed conflict, that is their guideline. The Amazonians do not have that same standard. They do not.
Can you please just explain, because I'm sure there are some people in the audience who do not even know what this Geneva Convention is about. Very brief summary of what that is.
The Geneva Convention, right? It has a broad range of articles, but the article dealing exactly with armed conflict was extended in 1977 to even include war, self-determination wars. It simply says, and it speaks to soldiers, it simply says and gives them guidelines on how to treat civilians and enemies. Because remember, it's an unconventional war. It's not a conventional war between two foreign armies, if you like. It's a war between the army, soldiers, trained professional soldiers, against civilians who've taken up arms. So the Geneva Convention says you cannot burn their houses, like Victor is claiming. You cannot do that. You cannot burn their properties. You cannot do that. You should protect them. When you arrest them, protect them. You cannot kill them. You cannot execute them. That's what it says. As soon as you do that, the professionalism or whatever he's talking about goes out of the window. You become a criminal once you do that.
So, Victor, are you aware of this Geneva Convention?
So the way the way the Geneva Convention came about is that before there were no rules of war. You could just go in there and drop a chemical. You could drop a nuclear weapon. You could drop any kind of bomb, any way you want. You can treat people the way you want in the battlefield. And this is a treaty of all these countries that came together, and they said, no, we have to set rules to war. Yeah, we have to fight, but they got to be a guideline. They have to be guidelines. So they put down guidelines. You have to use just appropriate force to solve the problem. Okay, so I'm shocked that we went back to the thing about fire. I can drop a bomb, but I can't burn a house with fire. Give me a break. But there is a something called for our military. They actually took the Geneva Convention and summarized it and came up with something called the laws of war. Okay, they gave us the laws of war. That was a breakdown. Before you, let me finish. This is very important. The laws of war is a breakdown step by step of exactly what you can do and cannot do at war. And then they even developed something else called the rules of engagement. That if you see somebody before you shoot them, you have to positively identify that they're an enemy combatant. By that meaning that they either have a weapon, even if they're not pointing it at you. You have to positively identify that. They might have a machete, they might have something, to engage. And then they even went further to talk about something called escalation of force. How does force escalate? And then they will tell you, okay, if you see somebody and there's a peaceful situation and before you escalate to killing people, you have to shout, tell them, hey, back off. You have to shove, you have to push them, okay? You have to shoot a warning shot on the ground, pop, 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 and if they keep coming, then you kill them. That's escalation of force. But I tell you what, if you are in combat and you already identified the enemy combatant, you throw away escalation of force. You go straight into rules of engagement, okay? You can take them out right away. So, that's all I have on that. I could go on on that, but
thank you very, very much.
I think that I made my point.
Yeah, thank you very, very much.
Let me just make a rebuttal to what he just said there now.
Just one second. Terence, I sincerely apologize for misquoting you. Your question was that women and children appear in videos with guns and not Ambazonia using women as a shield. So that was my mistake. I do admit that and apologize. Omer, you had something to say before the last question.
Okay. Just as a rebuttal to what Victor just said there, even if you identify an Ambazonian with a weapon or a machete, like he says, unless he's actually charging on you or charging at you, you cannot shoot him. That's what the Geneva Convention says. You know that, Victor, don't you? Unless he's actually charging at you, keyword, charging at you, you cannot shoot him. You cannot kill him.
You know, yeah.
Are you aware of that?
Well, we can quarterback like what I'm not gonna do.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's not open to a debate or discussion. That's a fact.
On talking about the Geneva Convention, apparently that will take us a very, very long time. But I have this question from Grand Eno Ayuba True Lion, who asked, and this question is directed to Victor, talking about bombs and fire, and he's asking, that the Ambazonians are not foreigners. So should the government be using fire or bombs, like you mentioned, against their own citizens?
Their mission is to support the country against enemies, foreign and domestic. Do not for 1 second think that because you are born in that country, okay, you can wake up and go destabilize the institutions of the state to cut away 40% of the gross domestic product, okay, and go unpunished. You will be met with the maximum, okay, wrath of the military. I promise you. It's their job. They take an oath to do that. And if there is a general that's ordered to go take care of you and he doesn't do it, we fire the next day. Okay, and if he turns down his orders, he's going to jail. And guess what? His subordinate, the next 1 star or the next colonel that's underneath him, would rise and take his spot and conduct that mission. We don't ask those social questions. We just carry out our orders as long as they are legal. Okay, because and that is very key. As long as they are legal, this is what I'm gonna say. When you go out there on Facebook and you take pictures and you have guns, even though they are freaking den guns that can't kill nobody, they freaking shoot gunpowder and don't even get me started with that. But once you do that, you don't already mark yourself as an enemy combatant. What the military can do is take those pictures, okay, go sit down with their lawyers and develop a list of who they are going to target, who they're going to capture or kill. They can do that. The lawyers can say, okay, this person has demonstrated to be a combatant. This person. They come to the local police. The police know where everybody's at. They deal with those bad guys every day. The Amazonian fighters are the troublemakers in the community already. It's not no educated UB students. They are the troublemakers in the community. So you can take those pictures, develop your kill list, talk with your legal team, get that approved, and then, okay, this person is the target. Go find them, bring them dead or alive. Go out there. That's your mission. They'll get one colonel or whatever captain, depending on the size of the enemy. Give them troops. Go execute this mission. So yes, you can use fire. You use whatever is appropriate according to the Geneva Convention. Use the necessary amount of force that is required to accomplish your mission. Okay, that's all I got to say on that.
Okay, thank you very, very much. So we are at that time of the debate where we decided we discuss a bit on some of the proposals or recommendations or solutions, because the people back in Cameroon are always criticizing all the bushfallers for not talking about, always criticizing. So the last question will be asked to you both by Delphine. And it's apparently we had prepared a question, and it's the same question that Mabel has also put forward.
So the question goes: what proposals or recommendations will you give both the government, the military government, or Amba fighters to reduce the loss of lives of the people they claim they are fighting for? Victor, can you go first?
Okay. Well,
Should I repeat the question?
no, I got it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of things going on in Cameroon. I really never thought in my lifetime I would see the situation in Cameroon, in English Cameroon, be this bad. Never in my lifetime. It's really sad. But I think that one way to begin is, the humanitarian effort that there's 160,000 displaced personnel in this war. So if we could help them, that is good. And I had this conversation with Omer the other day. I am part of a group. I'm actually vice president of a group of some Cameroonians here. And I was organizing this party just last month. And somebody brought the idea that we do a fundraiser. And just amongst us, we haven't even touched it, but amongst us, I was shocked, but I was proud that we raised $5,000 on the spot, just amongst us. That's a good initiative right there. I think the government did that. I think more people should do that. So people realize it is bad.
Maybe you misunderstood the question. So this is to.
No, I understand. I am walking on my way to the fighting. Okay.
Okay.
Curfews. Okay. Curfews. You have to have curfews. It is great that you are taking civilians out of the battlefield at night. Do most of your fighting at night. Identify your target, identify the enemy, go attack them at night. But make sure that civilians are off the battlefield. Okay? And then the question of school, man. I mean, I don't know. Kids still have to go to school. It's a difficult situation in that regard. For Amazonian fighters, this is what I'm going to tell them. You have zero chance of success. Absolutely none. Mr. Bayen is going to be president till the day he dies. I don't like what's happening in English Cameroon, but I think you are very much better off. English Cameroon was much better off on October 1st, 2017 than it is today and maybe 10 years from now. So stop this foolishness, okay? Return back to normal life, okay? And fight your social injustices using political means. Keep the military out of it. The military is coming to kill people. So stop the war. That's my simple recommendation to everybody. Drop your weapons.
Okay, thank you very much, Victor.
Omer, what proposals or recommendations will you give both government, military, or amber fighters to reduce the loss of lives of the people they claim they are fighting for?
Honestly, at this point in time, I have absolutely no recommendations for the Cameroonian government or the Cameroonian army. They are useless. The Cameroonian army is set up for the whims and caprices of one old man, Bia. You cannot talk to people like that. So I'm going to talk to Ambazonians. In order to reduce the number of civilians dying, the first thing Ambazonians need to do is to stop making these videos and revealing their locations. Take a very simple example, like in Afghanistan, the Taliban, they moved away from the villages. They live in caves. I'm sure Victor can testify. They live in caves, in the mountains, away from the population. That's how you protect your own people. You cannot be making these videos, say in Batibo. Everybody knows that's Batibo. They will come there, and it talks about curfew. The curfew doesn't work because people have been dragged out of their houses in the northwest and southwest regions and killed at night. So the curfews don't work. In the corner, people are killed in their homes. So what curfew are you talking about? They were at home. There's a video of this guy on social media who was cooking his meal, his dinner, chicken. They killed him in his kitchen. Was he out on the street? No, he was at home. So the curfew doesn't work. That's out of the question. So the only way Ambazonians can protect their own people is to move away from those villages, move away from those areas. Take the fight like Field Marshal in the bushes of Libialem. How many of soldiers they don't see and go for Libialem? Because they don't know how to get there. That's the only way you can protect your own civilians. If you're going to come back into town, come back, do what you have to do, move back to those move back into the caves, move back into the forest. That's the only way you can protect people. Because what the Cameroonian army is doing now, they are adopting the tactics. Because first of all, you need to understand that the commander of the B is from Israel. That's exactly how they do. According to them, that's how you fight. That's an anti-guerrilla war tactic. You come to these villages because you believe the people made a video say in Batibo, you come to Batibo, you burn the whole village. If I ask Victor now if he has a figure of the number of Ambazonians killed, he cannot tell me because you don't know the number of Ambazonian fighters who have been killed. They don't kill the fighters, they kill civilians. They come there when the fighters have left and they burn the whole villages. They kill civilians. They don't kill the fighters.
How do you know that? That's not true. That's not true.
So move away from those villages. Move away from those villages. That's the only way you're going to protect your people. You need to adopt the doctrine of unison. Speak as one voice. Even Boko Haram, now one man they talk. Taliban, now one man they talk. Al Qaeda, now one man they talk. Ambazonians, 1 million people are talking at the same time, saying different things. It puts everybody else at risk. Stop making these videos. I had a post some time ago on Facebook. Stop making these videos because you are exposing people, civilians, old people, young people, the women, children. You are exposing them to the military. That's the only way you can protect civilians. Now, the Cameroonian army has to respect the Geneva Convention because that's their guideline. But they don't respect it. They don't respect international humanitarian law. Like I just proved to Victor, even if they are armed, you cannot kill them unless they are charging at you. That's a fact. But is that what happens? That's not what happens. They kill indiscriminately. So for Ambazonians to protect their people, they need to move away from these villages.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Omer and Victor. Thank you also to my
God, you know what? Can I say something for 30 seconds here?
I'll give you the last word. Just for a second. I'll give you the last word. So I'm going to ask you guys for your last word for the debate. But before you guys say anything, I would like to inform our audience that this is a debate. It's a discussion where people exchange ideas. So people shouldn't take it personal. I'm saying this from the comments I've been reading.
I know. I know. I haven't read them. I know that they're gonna kill me.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking
okay.
to the audience. So, Victor, yeah. So, Victor, the last word to the audience. They've asked some interesting questions, and now we have approximately 400 comments. So it's been very interesting. So if you have anything to say before we end, and to thank our audience as well, that would be good.
I mean, I from day one, I did not want English Cameroon to get into this. I don't think we have any chance to succeed. I just want to let people remember that Cameroon is still a country of laws. The laws of Cameroon still apply to you, and terrorism is punishable by the death penalty. Financing terrorism is punishable by the death penalty. Remember that. What's his name? I'm not even going to go there, but just remember that. Be a law-abiding citizen, okay? That's the best way for a bright future. Forget about, there is no shortcut to success. If you're a park boy, if you work in the park, picking up arms and killing 2 police officers is not going to make you a medical doctor the next day, okay? So if you want to succeed, you know, go out there and do it one day at a time, like all of us did, okay? I really wish progress for Cameroon, okay? I wish nothing but good for English Cameroon. I don't want to give the fighters any advice, but I just got to tell you that a military travels on its stomach. If you cannot buy food to eat, okay, you are not gonna stay in the woods for freaking 2 days because you're hungry. You gotta come back and find something to eat. Oh, by the way, you have children to come feed. Okay, it's not worth dying. You are not a hero if you die. Okay, you are a hero if you live and you raise your kids. You are a hero, you know, if your kids grow up and be productive members of society. That's what I wish for English Cameroon. Okay, this fighting is not going to take you anywhere. Don't listen to these people on the internet, okay? They freaking work at whatever jobs that they do here, struggling to pay bills. They got all kinds of debt to pay. They're misleading you. Your hope is in Cameroon, okay? The people that are gonna lead you to success are the INAM graduates, the silent professionals that are out there. That's where your future is. Forget about this damn people overseas. They're power hungry. Okay, most of them are not even Cameroonians. Heck, I'm not even a Cameroonian. I've not been a Cameroonian over 15 years now. Okay, so don't listen to me. Don't use my advice to bottom line. Just take my advice for what it is. It's a Facebook debate. But your future is in your hands. Your future is in the hands of your leaders. Do not go die for some moron on the internet telling you that you can stand up for your right. Your future is with Mr. Beer. Listen to me. Mr. Beer is worth over $200 million, according to a whole bunch of sources. All these people talking to you, if you add their net worth, it's probably not even $50 million. That's being generous. Every Cameroonian that has been out there marching on the streets, okay? So they cannot finance a war against Mr. Beer. I'm a soldier, I know. If you give me the Amazonia mission, I would resign my commission that day, okay? Because I know it's unwinnable. That's why I never supported it on day one. That's why you should not fight it. Good luck, man. I'm so happy that I'm not there anymore. Bad news. Well, good news for me. My kids are going to school, okay? Please send your kids to school.
Victor, yeah, thanks a lot for that conclusion and advice to everyone who is in Cameroon. So people have a choice to listen or not to listen. Omer, over to you now. So what is your last word to our audience, and especially with respect to this discussion?
Yeah, my last words are going to be more of in the form of questions to Victor. He says the war in Amazonia is unwinnable, or the Cameroonian army is winning the war. He needs to look at the big picture. In 2 years, Ambazonians have succeeded in grinding the economy of Cameroon to a halt. That's a fact. You talk about Ambazonians not having the resources to fight the war. Would you say the UK and the US won the war in Iraq and Afghanistan? No, they did not. Would you say the Americans won the war in Vietnam? No, they did not. Look at the people Americans were fighting in Vietnam. They were as ill-equipped as the Ambazonians. Ambazonians are fighting for an ideology. You cannot win we can come on Facebook, right, and criticize Ambazonians till tomorrow. But you cannot defeat resolve. You cannot win an ideology with weapons. And Ambazonians are resolved. Personally, if you ask me personally, if Ambazonians should dialogue with Mr. Biya, I will say no. They should dialogue with somebody else, because that government cannot be trusted. How do you want them to send the kids back to school? It's not possible. It's not about winning the war tomorrow. You said Cameroonian government is winning the war. Win the war against who? You cannot win the war against your own people. The government is going to talk at some point. They're going to dialogue at some point. They cannot win. And I promise you, if Ambazonians had the same firepower as the Cameroonian army, that war would not end. Cameroon government would not lose. If they can kill these many people with den guns, imagine what they would do if they had the same firepower.
They don't.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Omer. Delphine has an announcement to make before we go.
Yes, guys, thank you so much, Victor, Omer. That was a very heated debate, like I expected it to be. Thank you so much. Thanks so much to the audience. We just want to announce that next week we'll have another debate, and this time we're going to have, for the first time in the big debate, a woman as a debater. The topic for next week will be 24 months later, the way forward for the Southwest and Northwest regions of Cameroon, federalism or outright independence. Which one is achievable? Why and how? Our debaters are going to be none other than Amabo Cecilia B. and Tres 14, that's Harry Fun. So stay tuned. Come on next week. It's going to be really, really heated. This is like Ambazonia versus Federalists. So thank you so much. Have a good night, you all, and take care. See you
Okay,
next
goodbye, guys, and watch this space. So thank you very much to everyone, and I apologize for my bad voice, but I decided that we have to make it to you guys because you matter a lot to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Victor,
you.
Victor, thank you very much for, let me just say this, Victor, thank you very much for stepping up. You are my brother. I've known you for a very long time. So this is nothing personal. So don't worry about the comments. Don't worry about the comments and none of that.
No, the comments, I'm probably not